back up. Now,
We are the finance. The towns are the one borrowing the money. It's just a matter of, we will borrow short term until they get the project done, and then we'll find the finance.
It was my understanding they were gonna try to use state money before the town.
There's not enough state money to go around.
no, but
No,
it-
it's
it-
smart though.
But
No,
we're being asked,
yeah,
just so there's clarification, we're being asked to ask the townspeople to do a borrowing authorization in the amount of about $2 million.
mm-hmm,
Now, that's a lot of money, Frank. That's half of our budget.
okay,
And it's gonna be a big number for a lot of people.
of course,
But, paying it off over 10 years, 20 years, not big. It is a big deal, but it's something we can manage if we have to. Well, we need to see that as the financiers of a business, that we're gonna get,
mm-hmm,
and this is a communication business. This is not the water plant where we've got a finite group of people and that's it. This is something that we've got to hire repair people for and da-da-da-da-da.
Mhm.
This is.
right, well, this
and it's
is,
like
all of that,
Public utility. I've worked in a community
right,
that had one, and
Yes.
they paid the bonds, they paid everything that was associated with them.
okay.
Period.
As I say, I was not at your meeting, I will make inquiries, because we haven't been at a Wired West meeting where they've said anything has changed for us in terms of, these things. My understanding last time we were there is that what I was describing, where the town would vote to raise a bond that would not actually be borrowed by the town, Wired West would then borrow money, would issue bonds on the market, and that the towns would be asked to pay the interest payments for probably the first 3 years during construction of the network. And that after that, Wired West would be getting enough income that they would be paying the bonds off. Now, what I'm going to do is I will go back and I will contact them tomorrow morning and ask to speak to Monica to see if in fact things have changed since I was there. There was so much information being provided at those meetings that
Information and misinformation.
well, I mean,
No,
right, it's a complicated process that they're talking about. And they have I mean, they have what I think, I don't know if when what is his name now? Who came to the meeting with his spreadsheet? Jim Draw.
I think what you got is, I've been to both meetings.
Mm-hmm. You went to the one Thursday?
No, yeah, Bruce and I were there.
So did it change from when you were there?
Yes, it did.
It did, okay.
The explanation, the way they explained it
Yes.
was vastly different from the explanation I received in Monterey.
Uh-huh, okay.
And we need to get clarification on that.
Absolutely, sure.
And because I think it's a viable entity, but we've got to, it's the old statement, where's the beef? Where's the business plan?
Mm-hmm, all right.
And we've got to see it, and then what we've got to do is we've got to sit down with our finance committee, they've got to see it, and then what we've got to do is we've got to present it to the town, because they're the
course.
people that ultimately not only appropriate it, but they're the ones who are going to pay for it. And they are going to pay. People, it was clear in that meeting that we're going to cover 2/3 of the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every town that's involved in this whole project is going to cover 2/3 of the cost until such time as Wired West becomes a viable entity that can actually pay money back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But we've got to see where and when that's going to be, where the models are
Okay.
that show us where that's going to be, and what the thresholds are. Now, we saw this 30% threshold, and we saw this 40% finance, sign-up threshold.
Mm-hmm.
But they really mean nothing. What really does mean something is, at what point do we start seeing some of that money coming back?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really where we got to.
Of course.
That's what we're going to be looking at. And that's something that really jumped out at the last meeting, but didn't. It
At the
wasn't
first one.
really clear at the first one.
Okay. Well, as I said, I will contact Monica tomorrow, and I will ask them for clarification. I'll ask them about a business plan, and have one of them at least come here and present to you personally, so that it makes more sense, and something which we can present to the town, so that the town understands what it is that they're voting for.
So we've got to have a business plan.
Mhm.
Some projections of when we're gonna start breaking even.
Because a lot of those projections are all gonna be based on these, who's gonna put up $50 to say, yeah.
If
we're
you
gonna
can
do
provide triple play at the dollars you were talking about, I'll be
Did they
satisfied,
come up
because
with
it'll
it?
save me
Have they-
$100 a month.
that. Have they, this last meeting, have they changed the figure of what this triple
They've
play?
had some fees out there, but,
Huh?
you know, they seem.
Because the
to
last
me,
I
they
heard,
seem
they were
very
hoping to
reasonable.
keep it under $120 a month.
No, they've got some up, like triple
But I mean,
plays up.
all of this is kind
Hundred
of
and seventy-five, but
based on
hundred and seventy-five saves me $100 a month, so.
how many
I'm not-
people, how many people in Egremont are gonna wanna use this? And are willing to say, yes, I'm gonna use it and put their money on it.
You'll
Because
probably
if you
find
can't get
Egremont's
that, you
gonna
might as well
be-
forget the whole
You're
thing.
gonna see an 80% use rate in Egremont.
Yes, well, I figure, yeah.
I figure in
That's
5
what
years
you-
you'll see that, but not.
Every
right now.
one-
I'll bet in 3 years or less.
You
Because
think you'll
there's
see
no-
that in 3 years?
We don't have cable TV,
No, I know we
Right.
don't.
There is no
So-
other option except satellite,
and if you're paying
and a
satellite,
mediocre DSL.
if you're getting the fancy satellite, you're paying well over $100 a month.
Mm-hmm,
And my phone bill, just for a regular phone with answering them, it's like $79 a month or some crazy
Mhm.
stupid thing.
Right,
So,
right.
you know, I've more than paid for, and
Oh,
I
yeah,
got
it's
internet
up
thrown
there.
in on top of that, so.
mm-hmm.
And it's nowhere near as good as what we should be getting from fiber optic.
Right,
so.
right. Well, all I can say is, A, I apologize for not having the information that we given you last Thursday.
Yeah, and I
And
mean,
I'm gonna
I
have a
went
conversation
3
about
weeks
why it
ago
is that
and
we
I
haven't been
didn't hear
given that updated information. But,
You know, no matter what, we're gonna be the bondholders.
yeah,
And that's fine, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with making sure that the people that are paying the bond are actually getting some return on that, on
Mhm.
those bonds.
Mhm.
And that's where I'm headed, and
Okay.
and we need, all of us need some kind of a business plan that said, okay, when you get to this point, we're breaking even, when we get to this
Right.
point, we're returning 100% of our
mm-hmm,
our financing.
Right.
Because that's what a normal business would have to do anyway, so.
okay.
So Jonathan, a couple of important things. If you could get someone to give me something for the newsletter, at least let's get the word out there that we have to have this 40% commitment, and that means an actual signing of a contract. And I think that when it comes to signing of the contract, people are more comfortable with a face-to-face, so maybe Wired West representatives should plan to have a weekend time frame where they're here in town hall and people
that's
can
fine,
come
sure.
in and do their contracts. I think
Mhm.
people will feel much more comfortable with that.
Yeah, no, we can certainly do that. I just think that my experience when we were doing the support cards was that it took a lot of time and a lot of work to get to be in front of the people, and a lot of that was, oh yeah, then they'd sign it and they'd head off, you know. This is a different animal. This is they've got to provide some money.
Right.
And I think that because a lot of the second homeowners are not necessarily around at this time of the year, I think they're going to be amongst the big people who are going to be wanting to, you know, to have the service up front, and I think a lot of them will probably have more disposable income. It won't impact them much to give the $50 or whatever the number is going to be. There are, of course, people here, you know, who are of modest means, and it might be more of an impact on them.
I've got 2 signups for you now. Each of my neighbors are second homeowners, and I'll see them. When it comes time, we have the contract, and I'll bring the contract to them.
Great,
They'll sign it,
okay.
and I'll bring it in.
I
I
think
mean,
that's the
no
type
big
of
deal.
stuff we're gonna need to get
And
to.
another
But-
thing,
Mary's suggestion, if we could maybe, and they may want to consider doing this with other towns, is having a weekend in Egremont. I mean, people come by here going to the dump.
To the transfer station.
Yeah, the dump.
There are people going by here to visit Louis.
And I'm
still
sure
a
they
dump.
wouldn't mind stopping by the
Town hall.
town hall before they go to the dump, or after they go to the dump.
Because they did bring something up last week, this meeting I went to, about there's certain state regulations that they have to follow to
Yeah.
take this deposit.